Hello. Wow. And welcome. Welcome back. Welcome back to Leggs. It's been too long. It's been so long. And I'm sorry. What am I apologizing for? I'm not sorry. Life gets busy. We all get busy. Trying to be a little bit more gracious with myself. 2024 was a fucking year, man. 2025 is shaping up to be another one of those years. Anyway, long time Leggs listeners, welcome back. First time Leggs listeners, welcome. This is Leggs, where we embark on the journey through nuanced terrain of human motion and emotion, exploring how the act of physical activity intertwines with our undying need for connection and belonging. I'm your host, Will, and I am honored to guide you through this exploration of the significance of movement in our day-to-day lives and how it all adds up to feeling just a little less lonely. I mean, I say this a lot, but we've been seemingly painted into a corner of solitude and disconnection, from device dependency to god-awful runfluencers, and now we throw some brands into the mix that are just kind of effing with everything too, making us feel bad about so many things. On Leggs, though, we sort of venture into the realm where solitary paths converge with a shared experience. The conversations we have with individuals uncover the ways in which the physical activity, mainly running, obviously, but other stuff too, serves to sort of bridge that chasm of loneliness that we are faced with as a society daily. We talk to the track stars, the trail monsters, the brands, the shops, the clubs, and anyone else really willing to share anything they want, the profound ways basically in which sort of motion shapes the perception of ourselves and the community around us. Today, I am super excited. We've got Kristina Randrup out of Seattle, Washington, a recommendation sort of from one of our faves on Leggs, Summer Kreisman. If you know who that is, then kudos to you. If you don't, well, find out. Anyway, we're going to be talking whales, whale community, trail running, trails and whales. That's kind of fun. Maybe that's the name of this episode with Kristina today. And she's going to take us through her journey, how she got to where she is, what her race plans look like, how she fights off the loneliness, how she embraces it. And maybe you can find a little bit of similarity within that too. So today, Kristina Randrup, Conversational Pace. This is Leggs. We're here with Kristina. I'm going to let you kind of just like take us on a journey of who you are as a little introduction, and then we'll get into the interview. So, icebreaker. Who are you? Where are you?
Hi, I'm Kristina. I'm a trail and ultra runner. I live in Seattle currently, but I grew up in Berkeley, California. So when I started running, it was kind of like the default was trails, which was a cool experience. I ran my first ultra when I was 18. I have my bachelor's of science in environmental science from the University of Washington and a master's of science in spatial analysis. And I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Washington again. And my thesis will be on blue whale population dynamics. Quantitative blue whale population dynamics is kind of the title I'm going with.
How did you get into that? What was the pull to do that?
I like numbers. I like math. I like environmental science and ecology. And I really wanted to work with my advisor. And he kind of specializes in quantitative science, what kind of straddles between stock assessment in fisheries and blue whale research. And he wanted a student to do some blue whale projects. And I said, please, 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 can I do it?
Yeah.
And he said, yes, here's some money. And I said, yes.
That's amazing. That's really perfect. Seems like Seattle's probably an ideal place for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fisheries school at UW is the best like aquatic science program in the world.
Amazing.
And I didn't like go in for fisheries, but it's really cool to be at like such a well-renowned
Yeah.
place doing
Wow.
this work.
All right. So let's shift gear, I guess.
Back to
That's
running.
that's amazing. No, it doesn't have to be running. I think like running is a great part of this, but it's more of like the story of who you are, and running fits into it. So do you have a mantra, sort of like a personal mission that you try to live by?
I don't know if I can say this eloquently because I'm not exactly great with words, but I was thinking about this when I saw that question, and I maybe not a mantra, but a goal is to just learn as much as possible, whether that's about myself through work and through running and through racing, or about the world, like through my research, through reading other people's papers, about history by just reading a lot, about my curiosity, just like constantly trying to learn more about myself and the world and history and everything going on. I just want to take in as much information as possible. And I think
Yeah.
that's not quite a mantra, but maybe like an ideal I live
It's
by,
a
I guess.
mission. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in there. It's something like that. You said it wasn't going to be eloquent, but I think you touched on a lot of really great elements of what could be sort of a personal mission in there. And I feel like that like also lends itself perfectly to like ultra running and just being out in the woods for extended periods of time. You just are surrounded by so much sensory overload all the time that you're just like, oh shit, there's something there. That's the reason I love trail running too. So okay, kind of similar to that, but and spoiler, you did see these questions first, so anyone that's listening right now, surprised. If you had to sum yourself up in like one sentence,
I think I can take it in like two different ways, and it can be more about the running or it can be more about the work I've done. Like Christina is someone who wants to explore and understand the world in different capacities, maybe works, whether
I love
that's
it.
through movement or research.
Check. I like that one. All right. Now we'll shift like a tad bit, I guess, into running. Though I kind of want to revisit some of this, what you're talking about here. But one of the things Legs tries to do is draw this correlation between sort of the idea of being less lonely, joining a community. But I want to know sort of what do you do to make yourself a better person, a happier person, and therefore a part of a community, and basically helping to feel a little personally less lonely.
Yeah, I think that I feel the most myself when I'm on trails off in the mountains. Like I feel the most myself in the summer when I'm like off near Mount Rainier or like in the North Cascades. And I kind of really didn't discover that feeling until like 2019, 2020, because that was the first time I like got way off into the mountains on my own. I'd grown up backpacking, especially in Yosemite. So I've always enjoyed being in the mountains, but like in terms of solo time is one I kind of had of like, oh my God, this is like who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I think recognizing that like piece of myself and finding ways to feel that like on a more day-to-day level um kind of makes me me, and knowing that part of myself helps me like know how to be a person to similar people. I don't
Mhm.
know if that quite makes sense.
Sort of like bottling the energy, the feeling that you have when you're, out there on the trails on Mount Rainier, but then trying to apply that to your day-to-day life. Have you found that there's like a certain practice, a certain, I don't know, like you find yourself stressed out in traffic or looking for a parking spot at Trader Joe's? 'Cause this just happened to me right now. Um, and like you just get
That's like
so
nothing
pissed.
awful.
Yeah. I don't know why they design them that way, but you just get so pissed off. But there is that like moment of zen, moment of clarity that we find as runners, sort of whether it's on the road or on the rivers or on the trails. So how do you personally find and sort of bottle that to use it in your everyday life?
I'll find myself like getting stressed sometimes like driving to the trailhead just about like, oh, I want to be starting my run at a certain time and I'm going to be like 3 minutes late. But then you go off and you start running or you finish up and I'm like, ah, nothing else matters for the rest of the day. Like,
Yeah. What do you find to be the biggest barrier for taking a little time for yourself and finding some calm in this world?
I'm busy. I'm still taking a lot of classes. I have a lot of work to do. Like, a PhD isn't exactly an easy thing to take on. So when I'm stressed, I can find myself like going down rabbit holes of spirals and mental doom. And then also with like the world around us and political climates, it doesn't make it any easier.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm just like a busy and at heart stressed and anxious person, but having the regularity of running and being outdoors, like I think kind of regulates everything in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I think that's good. That consistency, that sort of building a habit, definitely helps out, I think, in a big way. So, you said you did your first ultra when you were 18. Yeah. Um, when did you first get into running? Was that your sort of first foray into it? Were you into it before that? And like, what was when
Yeah.
and why did you first get into doing this?
So I started running. I mean, everyone does like the mile in PE, like we did the mile in middle school, and I was always
Yeah.
like fine at it,
Yeah.
but I didn't care too much. And then I started running on my own freshman and sophomore year in high school. And then summer of summer before junior year of high school, I was like, man, I really need some friends. I don't have any friends. Um, I've never been like the best at making friends. And finally I was like, okay, the people on the cross country team, I know them. I'll join cross country in the fall. So I joined cross country in the fall of junior year, and it was my first time like having a friend group in high school.
Interesting.
And then my I'd put off running um in high school because my mom has done ultras and my dad also runs on and off. So I was like, I don't want to do what they do, and they want me to run, so I don't want to do it. Um, and then finally, I was like,
I
man, I
love
really,
that.
really need some friends.
Right, right.
So then I joined cross country,
Nice.
and it was the first race. It was fine, but I do remember finishing it and doing well and being like, oh, so like when you take the ball out of sports, like I get it. Yeah, I should be doing this.
You take the ball out of sports.
When you
That's
take the
great.
ball away, like,
Yeah,
okay, makes
I get
sense.
that.
And then just senior year, I think I PR'd every cross country course by like 2 minutes.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Um, and then when I went to college, one thing I thought about was trying to run in college, but ultimately I decided to come to the University of Washington, which is a
Mhm.
D1 school. They didn't want to let me walk on or try out or go to any practices, so I just ran by myself. And then summer after freshman year in college, I was home for the summer and my mom was like, "Hey, I do this 50K every summer. Like, you should do it. You've been running a lot." I was like, "That's stupid. I'm 18." I was like, "That's the dumbest thing ever." Like, whatever, sure, I'll do it. And then
Yeah.
it went really well. And
Nice.
I realized that the longer the distance goes, the better I get. And now I'm an ultra runner.
Nice. What was the race? What was the
It
50K?
was the Skyline 50K in the
Okay.
Bay Area.
Yeah, yeah.
I've run it 6 times now.
Oh, sweet.
I
Okay.
finally took a year off this
Okay.
year.
Okay. That's, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair.
I'll come back to that race for sure, but I needed like a mental break from
Sure.
it and to focus on other races. Like
Yeah. And
I
you're going for a PhD and you're studying blue whales. Like there's a couple other things that are going on in your life right now. I feel
I mean,
like.
I'm still racing a lot, but it was nice to just like focus on other races this year.
Yeah. So you primarily stick to trails. Sounds like you love the ultra. What do you do to keep your running interesting, to diversify it so you don't get sick of this?
Yeah, trying to do new races every year, not just get stuck in doing the same ones
Mhm.
every on repeat. And it's fun to it's fun to revisit races, but not to do all of the ones like every race the same. And every summer I try to like go to new trails I haven't done. Like I have some favorite routes in like the Tiana Ways or in the North Cascades, but always making sure I try to prioritize getting to some new places because I have a huge long list of trails I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in the fall, winter, I mean, as you know, in Portland, it's pretty dark and gray and rainy for months at a
Except
time
this
when
year,
we're
apparently. Like,
yeah,
what's
it's
going
like
on with this?
sunny. Because in that season, we're very much contained to the lowland trails where there's not snowpack for months of the year,
Sure.
and trying to just like come up with new loops, or even if it's not a new loop, like doing some new challenge like as part of your run to just make sure you're not stuck in the same like, oh, I'll just go up and down Poo Poo Point again, like same 10 miles every day.
Right.
Making sure you're still changing it up when you can't really change your location much.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're into racing, and it sounds like that's a cool way to keep things interesting. I've not raced in it's been a year now. I had a bad Boston last year, so I decided that I didn't want to do anything after that, and I haven't trained at all either. So my fitness is just like pew, it's like plummeting. But I got to get back into it. So maybe this will inspire me. What is on your bucket list for races?
I mean, Western States is
Okay.
high priority 1 year.
Yeah.
I think starting next year, I'm going to go try to chase down a golden ticket. I put myself
Nice.
in the lottery this year, but I had one ticket, so I wasn't expecting it. But Western States has always been a race that I think I can do well at.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think I can do well at it. And it's California, it's trails I love
Hmm.
that I know it'll be a part of my like running career. It's just like finding the time when it like feels right for me to prioritize trying to get in.
Team sports, obviously, like there's a community around that. It's funny that you went to, or it's interesting that you went to a sport like running to find friends, because running can be seen on the surface level as sort of like an individual sport.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get sort of your take, because I want to move into sort of like the community aspect of all of this. If you were to give one piece of advice to someone sort of in your shoes, um, back then or even now, because there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of like there's a run club for like every fucking niche right now, which is great. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm just saying that there's a glut right now, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen in like 2 years. But like, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone looking to give running a shot for like the first time?
Before I say the advice, I will say that I did play like JV soccer, or I mean JV and varsity trained together, but I played soccer in high school and I was on the basketball team as well, but like I wasn't good at those sports. I wanted to like learn and get better and I was
Mhm.
playing for fun. And like I didn't play much in terms of game time, but I was learning a lot about the game and I could see
Sure.
myself improving. But a lot of people on the teams like really just didn't like me because I didn't grow up like playing club sports.
Sure. Yeah.
So they were like, I just had fun and like got better. But I think that they really didn't like that I was like having fun with sports.
That's what's up.
Um,
Yeah.
and then coming to cross country, it was a very supportive atmosphere because not only was the
Mhm.
team very close, but um, we were actually a lot of people on our team were really good friends with our direct rival. So our rival high school, we were still friends with a lot of people on that team. And when we would pass each other in races, like we'd cheer each other on. It was never, yes, we're competing, but there was never an air of animosity between us.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's one thing you get from running is everyone is going through the same thing. Like the course sucks as much for you as it does for the person who finishes last. Like we're all going up the same like hills, um, and everyone's kind of suffering together. So there's
Right.
a sense of community even when you're competing.
Yeah.
And then I think in terms of advice for getting into running, I am lucky in a way that I never had a hard time in the like fitness way of running. Like it came quickly. My body took to it. It was never like a hard thing for me to start doing. But I know that that's not the common experience. But I think like find what part of running brings you joy or why you want to do it. And don't judge yourself because you're not like, you can't go out and run 5 miles immediately. Like, not everyone can up and do that on nothing. So, like, focus on what you want from it and why you want that. And take it easy on yourself as you're getting into it. Like, it's not an easy sport. It's going to take some adjustment. And as long as you're thinking about why you're doing it and doing it because you want to, like, then have fun with it.
Right.
But don't like force yourself into something if you really don't want to. Not that you like have to make running your number one thing, but like if you absolutely despise running, maybe don't go join running clubs. Like there's other activities out there, but if
Yeah.
you really just find something about running as like really beautiful or as a way to meet people,
Hmm.
then focus on that and like finding those connections either between other people or for yourself, and
Yeah.
then you, like find joy in it.
What do you think is the main benefit to running? Or just maybe like maybe not the main benefit. Let's do something different. What about like some lesser known? I think we can get main benefits from things like Runner's World, but like, what are like some like lesser known? Like you said, give yourself grace, be easy on yourself. I think that there's a lot of really strong sort of sentiments in that. But when you start to get into it, when you start to make this a regular part of your life, like what's something that people don't tell you is going to happen?
What's cool about running is there's always something else you can do. Like once you start getting into it, there's always ways to change up what you're doing and keep it interesting. And I feel like when people talk about the benefits of running, you maybe don't focus on that. You
Hmm.
focus on community or getting fit, or, I mean, for some people, weight loss or body image, depending on who you are or why you're doing it. Um, but running is a sport that you can always find something new with, whether that's a longer distance, new workouts, trying to go faster, new areas. Like there's always something cool that you can build on versus like other sports. There isn't like no one's reinventing soccer all the time. Like soccer's fun, but it's like the game is the game. I
Right.
don't know, the rules aren't changing, but
Yeah.
there's always like new things coming
Interesting.
up with running. I don't
Huh.
know.
I live across the street from where the Timbers play and the Thorns. So like I tried it and I sometimes call it football when my UK friends are around. But
Yeah.
that's like the extent of it.
The rules aren't changing,
They're
and a
not,
game
you're right.
is like 90 minutes,
Yeah,
and like you're not reinventing the playbook, but
right.
you can reinvent the playbook on a race. Like we have backyard races where you do
Yeah.
4 miles every hour, or like the Barkley marathons, or 100 milers, or the Chipotle challenge that was going on.
Yeah.
There's
That's
always
such
like weird little things that are new and interesting.
But that's right. In running, you can do whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want to do it, kind of thing. So long as your body, like you were saying, can adapt to it. What do you think? 'Cause like I mentioned, like there's this like rise of run club. I called it like the Renaissance runner that sort of like was birthed during the COVID era. And now it's like, kind of expanded into these social clubs, dating clubs, competitive track clubs, membership fee-based clubs, like blah, blah, blah. There's one for everyone out there. What's your take?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't thought too much about like all
Okay.
the run clubs because it's never been something that I've participated much in. It's never been like why I run or what got me into running. I
Mhm.
think if it gets more people into the sport, awesome. There are definitely clubs that are out there like just to like look cool or like be like we're so like look how good we are and like kind of give an air of that's like not very great that I don't love. But I think for the most part, it's great to have like so many options for people to join and try to find something for everyone.
Yeah.
But you also like don't if run clubs scare you, like you don't need a run club to run. You can get out of it what you want.
Hmm.
If you don't want anything from it, awesome. You can get whatever out of the sport that you want without
Yeah.
it.
If you're not looking to join a run club, because I feel like that is one of the easiest forays into running now. It's like I can find a group of people that share my speed or my pace, my distance, my values, what I'm looking to get in out of this. If that's not for you, like what do you think are some ways then people can find sort of their purpose or their path in running?
Like think about what you want out of the sport
Mhm.
and go from there. And if you're not looking for a big group run, like a once a week meetup, like
Mhm.
then pick a route that looks fun and go out and like see how fast you can run it or start, like 1 minute on, 1 minute off as you're building up to running, like depending on your background. Run clubs are a great way to connect you with other people, but if you're running for just yourself, like find just other ways to enjoy it, whether that's going to a new spot in your city or picking a new route or trying to run faster or listening to a podcast or listening to new music.
Do you think then the running community, just the blanket community, is generally welcoming of newcomers?
I mean, in my experience, I think so.
Yeah.
I know I'm also speaking as like a white person who has grown up
Mhm.
running or has been running for 10 plus years and has been running ultras for a long time.
Mhm.
But I think that it can be intimidating to join a run club or to go out and try to meet more people because you're going up to a group where you don't know anyone. You might not necessarily look like the people there, depending on like who you are, what the group is. But I think particularly in the trail world, people are very welcoming and like don't really like care about I mean, they don't care about like who you are and like they want to know who you are, but it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter almost. Like I don't know if that phrasing is very good,
Yeah, I
but
get that.
once you're there, like it can be scary to get there, but once you're there, I think it's very welcoming and encouraging versus like going to a road group, especially like groups that do workouts,
Mhm.
that can be really intimidating, especially if you might not see people that look like yourself or match your speed. That's a very scary endeavor versus
Sure.
on trails, like everyone's more all over the place. People are more willing to go
Mhm.
slower or to go faster versus on roads. I feel like the atmosphere is more cutthroat sometimes, that can be a harder thing to break into versus trails feels very like relaxed.
Yeah, I want to do like a little bit of a look forward. Where do you see, so like I said, the rise of these run clubs, there's like all this hype right now. There's a brand popping up every second. Now we've got turmoil within the brands and the brands. Um, where do you see the running community being in like 5 years?
I think a lot of these, like, especially brands, I think we've seen a lot of this in contract season this year where we can tell which brands, especially in the trail and ultra community, it's become a little evident like which brands are visitors to the niche versus which brands are sticking around. And I think um I feel like there'll be more investment. I feel like it can go two ways. I think we're either going to weed out these brands that have tried something new and have decided that this isn't for them,
Mhm.
or we're going to see a reprioritization of the brands that have been kind of like dabbling in the trail and ultra world, and they're going to fully commit to wanting to be there. But right now, I think we're getting a lot of brands that are trying something new, but we as a like a trail ultra world can feel that they're not really committed. And I think we're either going to see them fully drop off or commit really hard. Because right now, this in between, I don't think is good for anyone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's going to be a more extreme divergence
It's
one
it's
way or the other. I think it's great that brands are branching out.
sure.
I think that's really important. And then it also pulls people from one community to the other. But it's also important to do it in a way that like respects both parties.
Do you consider yourself a runner or do you run?
I consider myself a runner.
Okay.
I think yeah, I it's just a like it's a very large part of who I am and who
Yeah.
I've been for a really long time. Yeah, I just it's a really big part of my life.
Cool. What's coming up for you? What do you want the legs community? What do you want the running community to know about you? Outside of the, well, I mean, you can talk about your PhD. That's great too. But yeah, what do you got on the horizon project wise that you can tell us today?
Yeah, theoretically, I'm running a marathon at the end of the month.
Okay.
First road marathon in 5 years. I say theoretically because my knee has been giving me a little bit of issues recently from all the road running. Um, so if I run it, it'll be a while before I go back to a road marathon. But then after that, I'm hoping to go for the course record at Miwok 100K in May, and then I'm gonna run Mont Blanc Marathon 90K in June.
Wow.
And finish. Hopefully I'll get a paper published in the next couple months.
Okay.
The draft that I sent to my advisor. So getting a paper published soon would be great too.
All right. Okay, finally, any shout outs? Who
I mean, I gotta say Summer for like all the great photos and for now we've met. Like who else? Yeah, Summer up in my
Summer. Okay.
Instagram.
All right, Summer, if you're listening, thank you. Great. Kristina, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really did love this. And
Boy, if I come up with some good hot takes, I'll like send you a video.
that sounds perfect.
But my head is a mess and the dope got the best of me. And there's a shallow boy where my heart used to be, girl. I'm taking time out of days to remember the name. And if my body's just a pedal, then you hit the delay.